Well, welcome everyone to this episode of Stories for Healing. As those of you who have been around, and I know now there are thousands of you, you know that what we do is we take this opportunity to tell stories of healing and reconciliation. It's kind of a balm for all the antagonism and antipathy and divisiveness and just plain stress that so much of the world seems to be going through. There's a lot of things somebody might want to do, but as storytellers, we're certainly called to tell these stories, not stories of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, or who's the right one and who's the wrong one, but how do we come together from distances and differences into some kind of living together? Today, I'm really excited to be able to bring a special storyteller to you who is going to tell us a story, Sheila Arnold. Sheila, would you tell us a story?
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm delighted to be with you today. This is an original story I wrote some time ago, and if just for you to know, it's on my CD called Hands Wide Open. I'm leaving. The young man, he was truly just a young man, no more than 19 years of age, looked at those elders in the large communal hut with defiance in his eyes. I'm leaving. All I request of you is that you all that I request of you is that you let me go and do not come after me. Ah, said one of the older men. Oh, do not leave now. It is the time of the rains to come, and I do not want you to be caught in the rains. Stay with us through the rainy season, and then we will give you letters of recommendation. I want not your letters. I don't need you. You already have a great one. With that, his eyes shot across to the other side of that communal hut where a tall man, 25 years of age, leaned back with his muscles bulging, relaxing against the wall, his eyes steely, looking at the young man. He shook his head, but said nothing. The young man continued, looking back at the elder men. I have done all I can do here. I will be my own man now, and people will see me. They will know who I am. The elders held up their hands to speak again. No more. I am leaving. And he turned on heel and left the hut. All of the elders turned to the man that had been leaning against the back of the wall. Brothers. It was all he could get out and say. But he acknowledged with a nod of his head each of those elders and then left the hut, following behind to his own small place that he shared with the brother that he had helped to raise in his later years. He was disgusted with his younger brother. Foolishness again. He walked into the hut, leaned against the wall again, crossed his arms again, same steely eyes as he watched his younger brother gather rope and gather a pouch and fill it with herbs and spices. He gathered the things that he would need for the journey, food and that he would have to have. He gathered an extra cloak of fur to put around him. And then he stood and looked at his brother as he was preparing to leave. So do you have anything to say to me? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. Because it's all about you. What? What have I done to you? What have I ever done to you? You are my brother. You have always been in good standing with everyone because of who I am. What have I done to you? That's it. That's it. It's all because of you that I even exist. Is that what you say? That's your last word to me? I'm gone. Fine. And he watched as his younger brother ran out of the door. He looked and stood in the doorway as he watched his brother go and saw across that the elder men had come onto the porch of the communal hut. He would need to go after him. And so he began to prepare the things that he would need. And it was there while he was preparing that the heavens opened up. The rains began. But this was the first of the rains. It would not last long. And so within a half hour, the rain was gone. And the older brother, was prepared to run and find his younger brother. He did not run out the door. He walked, taking one last glance to the elders, and then he continued on the way. He walked at a pace that was relatively medium stroke for him, not too fast, not too slow. He wanted to find his brother, and he knew his brother wouldn't have gone far, so he would just call out his name, "Brother! Brother!" There was no answer. "Brother! Brother!" No answer. Found himself calling up into the treetops. Maybe he had gone there, but there was no answer. He found himself going to the edge near one of the cliffs and calling down and praying there would be no sound and nobody. And then he continued to walk, thinking of the foolishness of his brother. Why did he leave? Didn't he know? Didn't he know that he was celebrated just like he was? Didn't he know that his younger brother had the kind of space that he gave to him? And then he saw one of the traps that he had laid out for the great boar. And that reminded him. It reminded him when he got the greatest of the boar, the one that folks had been trying to get for years, but it had come into his hole. He was the one that tracked it down. He was the one that got him. And didn't he go down in that hole by himself and then lift that boar, killing him with the spear, lifting him onto his shoulders, and then making his way up with the rope, up with the boar on his shoulders. And the men looked at him with such envy in their eyes. They wished it had been them. And when he arrived in the city, the women danced around him, and every father wanted him to be a son-in-law, and all the people saw him, and that's all they saw. His brother had been right. He had been all about himself. He had forgotten. He'd forgotten to recognize his younger brother. Forgotten to give him the same space and love that he gave his own self. He was the reason he left. He needed to find him now, to talk to him, to let him know he was sorry. He went over to that large hole and he yelled down, "Brother, brother!" There was no sound. So he continued, and now his pace, now he did run. He ran with the speed and the heightened sense of a hunter that moved and knew his way about, calling in the trees, calling out and about, calling down into the holes that the men made so they could get the boards. And finally he came to one and he called down and he knew this hole. This was the deepest that there was. And he called out, "Brother, brother, I am here. Brother, I'm coming down to get you." He took off the rope that he had around him. He tied the rope to the tree. "No, let me be here. I deserve to be here. I deserve to die here. I should not have run." "Brother, you are my family. I am coming to get you." He tightened it to the tree and then he made his way down. He made his way down to his brother. "I think I broke my ankle when I fell. I was running and the rain started and I couldn't see things like I had before and I deserve to be in this hole." "You don't deserve that. I was wrong. I was wrong. I have forgotten you. I have not loved you right. I am sorry. I am sorry too." All right. Now, when he got to the bottom floor, and he stood there and he said, "Now, you climb on my back now, brother. Climb on my back and I will lift us up." And so the younger brother climbed on the older brother's back. And as soon as he took that first hold of the rope, the heavens opened again. The rain came down in such sheets. This was the beginning of the rainy season. This was what it truly looked like and would look like for a few days long. And then it would soften and be just a couple more months. But now the rain was hard and thick. And as he climbed, the mud came off the walls, and the younger brother would wipe the mud from his brother's eyes as the older brother tried and sometimes would slip a little bit and then have to pull back up again. It was much harder going up than it had been coming down. And the brother would again, younger brother, wipe the eyes and whisper into his older brother's ear, "You can just leave me behind." "No, I would not." "Then continue on. I am with you." And he climbed up, hand over hand, carrying his younger brother on his back. Carrying. Then there was a crack of lightning. And the crack of lightning, once it left, then the rope began to fall. It seemed like they were falling down. The lightning must have hit the tree where the rope had then let go. They were falling, 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 and then the rope went taut. They must have caught onto a rock. They both knew that this may only be temporary, but they would try. And so the older brother, hand over hand, the younger brother wiping the mud from his older brother's face, hand over hand. And every now and then the rope would loosen. It would never get up, it seemed. And then it would tighten again, up and up and up, until after much time, they reached the top of the hole and a hand came out to them. A hand attached to an arm, and that hand, it was old. You could tell by the small shaking of it. You could tell by the wrinkles that covered it. There were so many wrinkles, and the arm looked so thin that it was almost inconceivable it would have the strength to pull someone up. But it reached out for the older brother's arms. "No, take my younger brother first." And so with the arm, it reached out for the younger brother and pulled him up. And there were other hands that grabbed on and brought him to land. And then two hands from two different elder men pulled, pulled them up and spoke as they pulled, "We hold the rope." It would be many years later as that younger brother would carry his nephew on his shoulders. And one day his nephew, looking at the old men at the hut, he said to his uncle, "Uncle, why do the old men have burns around their arms?" And the uncle said to his nephew, "The old men hold our ropes, as one day, my young one, I will hold yours." Thank you.
Oh, Sheila. Oh, what a great story.
Oh,
What a
thank
great
you.
story. And I thought I knew what I was going to ask you about. And the rope comes along. We hold the rope. And, I'm going to let that stand because I
Okay.
think it has such power in
Okay.
itself. I want to ask you about the moment that the older brother awakens. Can you tell me about that moment?
I think in writing the story, I think it was just the acknowledgement that sometimes we really get focused on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and we see other people as, well, we don't see other people in actuality. And I think the higher we go, the more fame that we receive, the easier it is to lose acknowledgement of those that are around you. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. Um, it's very interesting that I tell that kind of a story. It's very important to me as a person that is doing so much in the storytelling world and has for quite a while to make sure I am never that person,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to be that person. So part of this story, I think, was for me to
Mm-hmm.
be able
Mm-hmm.
to be a reminder to not ever be there, to be that person that forgets. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to forget. It's really important for me to make sure that I utilize whatever clout or influence that I have to be able to bring other people up
Mm-hmm.
and then to push them up before me. And someone said that you pull up and then you push up, and
Mm-hmm.
you pull up and then you push up, and so that is how I feel like that moment is. It's that reminder that we can get lost in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the collateral damage for that are the ones that we love
Yeah.
or the ones that are in our own families,
Yeah.
oftentimes.
Yeah. And for me, there's another important lesson in that same moment, and that is that we can wake up.
Yes.
You know, that
Mhm.
that no matter how seductive that position of acknowledgement becomes, we can wake up, and
Yeah.
often for reasons we're unaware at that moment. In that moment.
Because I don't think he ran after. I mean, I wrote the story, but exploring these characters, I don't think he ran after him with a sense. I think he ran after him with a sense of obligation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And oh, my brother, I gotta go
Yeah.
get him now.
Yeah.
Not with the sense of love or understanding,
Right.
but obligation. And I think that he even felt the pressure of the elders. It was his. You have to go after him.
Yeah.
It just they didn't have to say those words. He
Yeah.
knew that's what they needed for him to do.
Sure.
And so, but in the process of doing the obligation,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta go take care of this person. Sometimes that's when we actually see the damage. that
And
we have potentially done. Go ahead.
and he didn't do it likewise. He didn't do it for the fame he thought he would get. That's not what propelled him into it, although that became part of it. Oh,
Hmm.
wonderful.
Oh,
Wonderful.
good, good, good. Now that line, "We hold the ropes," actually comes from a story about William Carey, who was a missionary. And while being on mission, he was written, they wrote him and they said, "What do you need from us?" And he said, "Hold the ropes."
Yeah.
And I actually heard that said. I had some friends that were on missionary work in the Middle East, and they and we got to see them, through
Yeah.
internet, and we got to do a call, and I got asked to be a part of that. Very exciting for me because they were friends, and so there was this moment where he was the only one on. His family had gone to do something else, and our mission director said, "What do you need from us?
Hmm.
Really, what do you need?" And he was getting really teary-eyed, and he said, "I wish you could do this or this and this. If you could, this would be so encouraging for my family." And then our mission director said, "We hold your ropes.
Hmm.
We'll
Hmm.
be there." And I was like, the whole, and then literally the entire story
Hmm.
came in full. It
Right
did
there.
not come in a little, the
Yeah.
entire story. And I mean, I wasn't dealing with anything. The story doesn't look like
No.
anything where I was at, but it was completely in full, intact. It's never changed. It
Yep.
has never changed. It came completely in full. I was able to tell it about 2 weeks later. It never moved.
Yep.
It
Yep.
came intact after that line, which is so surprising because it
Yep.
has nothing to do, but it's that
Sure.
line so moved me,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
then I think the image for me was the image of people wrapping ropes around them for
Yes.
people to pull them up. Um, and that is, to me, just incredible symbolism,
It is.
that we will, when we pull people up sometimes, that we burn ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, that's not bad.
Right.
You know, at least I don't think, I don't believe that that's bad.
Yeah.
There are times that when we're lifting somebody up from where they have been, we get harmed in ways we can live with,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
there might even be outward scars. But do I think they would ever do anything different? No,
No. No.
because they surprised the older brother. The
Yep.
older brother didn't
Sure.
understand. He was being followed.
Yeah.
He just,
Well, and they also serve as a teaching moment for those who follow us.
that's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. He'll be there for the next one that comes out. So
Yeah.
I like that story. I'm glad
I
I told it. I hope
I'm
it's a healing story, but
I
it's just one of those stories that
well, if
I
the
love.
comments are to be believed, it's a healing story.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I can't see the comments, so I don't
No,
know what
that's it.
to.
So, folks, why do we do this? I think you've just had a very good example of why we do this. And as Sheila alluded to, um, we do this to heal each other and ourselves. There's nothing quite like losing yourself in a story of healing to heal yourself in the
Mm,
process. Um, and that's what we really need to do. I mean, please share the video, visit the YouTube page, all that good stuff. But, you know, tell stories to each other. Tell stories, not just, a series of events, but open your hearts and talk about what really matters to you. And I think you'll find out that we have so much in common.
yeah.
It's sometimes it's encased behind a few layers of shell, but it's there. Uh, so, as a reminder, we are telling these stories every day, every weekday now. Um, please come back and share and go to the YouTube and watch them again or see the ones you've missed. And we'll be happy to see you again tomorrow. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Jim, for doing this. It's awesome.
Okay. Bye bye.